Back and I'm better. I want you bad as ever. Don't let me just let up. What is happening, party people? I think we're good. Oh man, oh man. It is about that time. We are live and in living color. What is happening, party people? What is happening, party people? How y'all living? It's your boy Coach Sean, and we are back. Oh, I can't even hear it though, which is so interesting. Uh, ooh, this will be interesting. We'll figure it out. What's happening, everybody? It's your boy Coach Sean, and we are back with another episode of the Secure Show Live. And today we are covering the topic and conversation of compatibility. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about why this is important as somebody who is actively in the dating space, dating healthily, dating securely, and helping high achieving women specifically learn how to deal with relationships in an aligned, healthy way, secure way. Okay. Because it's crazy that you are great at business and you are successful in business. You're successful everywhere else in life, but your relationships are just down the drain. All right. The reason why this is, what's up, Ash? Good to see you over there on TikTok. How you living, sis? The reason why this conversation is important today, shout out to the Heart Me, thank you a ton, is because we have to learn what it actually means to have conversations around compatibility. We've talked a little bit about this. What's up, Alfonso? Shout out to Alfonso Henry in the building. How you living? On a scale of 1 to 10, y'all let me know how you feeling. All right. On this wonderful Tuesday. So the conversation on compatibility, again, it's extremely important because this stuff matters. And especially in church spaces, this isn't a conversation that is had often. Okay. Because a lot of the language is centered around avoiding, a lot of the language is centered around something completely different uh, than what it actually is for. And we're going to talk about that in this conversation. What's up, Jessica, in the chat? Good to see you. How are you? On a scale of 1 to 10, where's life satisfaction at? All right. How are you feeling today? And also, let me know what is your or where you're watching from. Everybody that's coming in, flood the chat. Where are you watching this from? Today we're talking about compatibility. If you're new to me, you're unfamiliar with my content, you're unfamiliar with what I do. My name is Coach Sean. I'm a faith-based relationship coach. And I am here to help high achieving women create secure relationships. Um, and this is something that is going to make a difference. More specifically, helping high achieving women not second guess their decisions when it comes to dating. All right. And this is going to be really, really helpful for a lot of us in this space because, of course, in talking about security, outcomes, and doing relationships in a healthy way, this is going to make a lot of sense. And compatibility is a conversation today, and it's massive because if there's no compatibility, then there really isn't a relationship that can be built off of anything. And what we consider compatibility is different from aligned and healthy places than maybe what culture may consistently consider or what our culture may consistently consider as compatibility. Okay. When we talk about compatibility, we're not just talking about looks, we're not just talking about a physical attraction to one another, we're not even just talking about finances. Okay. Because if you just limit it to those things, then we're going to actually have a bigger problem on our hands than we realize. It can include those things, but it is not limited to those things. And really, when we're talking about compatibility, okay, we're talking about mental, emotional, and spiritual alignment. Mental, emotional, and spiritual alignment. This is the focus of having a compatible relationship and one that is aligned with who you are and with where you are wanting to go. Okay. Without this compatibility in those three sections, you may have compatibility physically and you may have compatibility financially. But this same compatibility that you've limited to physical and financial traits is the same compatibility that won't get you through the toughest experiences and low moments of your life, seasons of life that move in roller coasters. And so while we're up here having an uproar about compatibility regarding sexual compatibility, because somebody can fold you like a pretzel and all of a sudden now we're compatible and we make sense, that is not a direction that makes the most sense for you. And if you're not careful, you'll call that compatibility and then fall short. Okay. You'll call that compatibility and fall short, be frustrated, be upset, feel disconnected, and most of all, living dysregulated. Okay. And so we're going to talk a little bit about this compatibility thing today and why this is important for those of you who are wanting to have secure relationships. And for those of you who are high achievers who want to actually make time for relationships. Because the problem for high achievers specifically, and why this is important to those in these specific kinds of people, all right, it's not that you don't have time for relationships. And it's not that there's nobody out there that makes sense for you. Okay. We're just measuring relationships without systems that we typically are used to creating in other areas of our life where we've seen success. You've seen success in your business, you've seen success in your career, you've seen success in your entrepreneurship, but yet you are not seeing success in your relationships and you're constantly frustrated, okay? And you feel like you're missing something, lonely, tired, drained, okay? Or constantly running into people who you're giving second chances to who don't want anything to do with you. And you know the same brain that looks at the clients you have, the work you do. If you're not an entrepreneur, okay, you're a high achiever in other areas of your life, okay? The same brain that gives you clarity on understanding who's serious about the product and who's not, who's the right fit for the business and who's not, is the same brain that literally gives you permission to dismiss the person that ghosted you before that you will literally say yes to a second date to when they circle back around with a hey stranger text. And when we're talking about compatibility, these are the things that we have to address if we're actually wanting to see progress in relationships. Because compatibility has to have some level of foundation in mental, emotional, and spiritual well being. Okay. So we're going to get that conversation going. As you guys are coming into the chat, be sure to share where you're watching this from. All right. And drop a life satisfaction rate on a scale of 1 to 10 with where you are right now in your day. Choji in the TikTok chat asked a question: what's my opinion about trans women playing in women's sports? I don't agree with it. I think that's just simple as day. I don't agree with it. It doesn't make sense. Um, and it's definitely a imbalancing, unfair act, and atrocity, to be honest. But that's it. That's really all I got. On that. So, we're gonna have a good conversation here. If you guys if you guys are new or you've been on my channel for any period of time, all right, we actually recently finished up a series talking about the dating app dilemma. Okay. And why we went through that was because, well, we got to be able to navigate the dating streets in a little bit of a healthier way. And instead of always hearing what culture may have to say and why you are not qualified to have a specific relationship or why you're too old to date or why you should just go back to your baby daddy when you're 30 plus years old and you got two kids or why you should, when you get to a certain age, you're no longer available. We've heard all of that. That's garbage. Okay. You've heard a lot of red pill nonsense. You've heard a lot of people just automatically hate on dating apps because it's the easiest thing to do. We went through a series just dissecting from a more applicable standpoint and understanding both sides of the aisle, what makes the most sense for you when it comes to dating. For some of you, it is dating apps. For others, it's not. It's not a right or wrong thing. It's more so from using from a place of wisdom and discernment what makes the most sense for you to use. Okay. And we went through that whole series unpacking that. And so now, what's up, Clyde? Good to see you. On a scale of 1 to 10, how are you feeling today? And where are you watching from? Over on YouTube. Appreciate you a ton. So, we're coming back to something that we mentioned in this series, and that is the topic of compatibility. Okay. And we talked briefly on it, but there's a couple other things that I want to go deeper into and why this is important to your dating life in a lane of security. Okay. 9 out of 10. Awesome. What's got you to a nine? Share a little bit. What's got you to a nine? What's got you feeling good? And where are you watching from? Appreciate you a ton for joining. Um, and so we're gonna deal with this because this is important, man. And to everybody out there, this is gonna challenge quite a few different groups of people. Okay, number one is probably going to challenge. Um, number one, it's going to challenge. Um, what's it called? It's going to challenge believers first and foremost. All right, this is going to challenge a lot of people in the Christian space. Okay. Let's go. I love it, Clyde. Welcome in, man. This is going to challenge a lot of people who are Christian. It's going to challenge a lot of people, okay, who are only dating for aesthetics. This is going to challenge those people who are not in a healed position to date. This is going to challenge people who are only considering beauty as something that is skin deep. This is going to challenge people, okay, who have probably had a plethora of encounters physically with others. And so now you want a mixture of this one type of person that doesn't exist from all the people that you've dated and you've slept with, you've been with. This is going to challenge a lot of people who are not ready to actually date from a secure place. This is probably going to challenge quite a few of you who make decisions from anxious attachment, avoidant attachment. This is going to challenge some of you who make decisions from a place of people pleasing. This is going to challenge a lot of you who are tuning into this, and it's going to be good. Okay. Because compatibility is a serious conversation we have to have and one that is ever going. And if we don't address some of this compatibility context here, then dating itself constantly becomes a cliche where we're looking at wanting to see people, the heart is what matters and all the things. We say all the cliches, and we're not saying that doesn't matter. We're not saying your heart doesn't matter. We're not saying your spirit and maturity doesn't matter. We're not saying all those things. This is why we're getting into this. But we got to do more than pray. We got to do more than just know, like, hey, I enjoy going to the same church. What's up, user 67? How you living? Drop your life satisfaction rate on a scale of 1 to 10. How you feeling today? Okay. We got to do more than just like the same music. We got to do more than just like the same type of movies and foods. Okay. There's got to be more substance than both of us just saying we're Christians. So therefore, we go together. It's got to be more to that. It's got to be more than that because that sounds like a good friend, not a life partner. And there's a difference. A life partner should also be a good friend, but the difference between a good friend and a life partner oftentimes is determined by how somebody deals with you in moments and seasons of lows. Okay. Oftentimes, what the difference between somebody that is, I just like the, hey, I appreciate you, Clyde. The difference between somebody that's just a good friend and somebody that actually makes for a good life partner isn't so much on what we get along with on day to day, although that is part of it, it's not all of it. Okay. It's actually the difference is how one is treated in low moments. Okay. How do I deal with somebody in the seasons where things aren't necessarily going as great as maybe they were previously? Which also brings another great point when it comes to talking about compatibility. Okay. How you get them is how you keep them. How you get somebody is also what you need to keep up with in order to keep them. So, guess what? If you met them and when you met them, you had a lot of money, a lot of access, a lot of status, a lot of this, a lot of that, and then you experience a season where that stuff starts falling away, you now are in front row seat to really learn who you have. because the same money, access, and status that gave you privilege to come across somebody, see somebody of that stature, choose them, like them, and be with them is now going to be a huge test to determine if this is somebody that you can actually build with, do life with, and suffer well with when that stuff starts trickling down, when you lose the job, when the finances kind of have a dip, okay? When you're an entrepreneur trying out things, growing and doing things, and the finances weren't as strong as when you met them. This is when you actually learn who you have and you learn what you have to work with. And a lot of us are making decisions to determine somebody as a life partner when we're at these highs instead of experiencing seasons where there isn't everything isn't perfect, life be lifing, and we get an opportunity to see where we are actually for and with one another. This is where compatibility shines brightest. Not when she looks the cutest because she has the makeup on, her hair is curled, okay? She's in the gym, fitness is at a peak. That's not where we're at. That might be what drew you to this individual, that allowed you to learn more about this individual, but the compatibility aspect is exposed in lower seasons. Okay. So we're going to talk a little bit about this and unpack it a little differently. What's up, Aya in the chat? Good to see you. Sela, good to see you. Gyro, what's happening? Good to see you. Okay. So put a one in the chat if this is making sense so far when we're talking about going in the direction of compatibility. Compatibility can't just be the fact that we like the same things, and compatibility can't just be, all right, how we look and being skin deep. Okay. So actually, I'm about to pull up some of these notes here because I want to refresh y'all's memory on what we kind of defined regarding compatibility. Okay, this is kind of going back to our dating app dilemma series. So be sure to check that out. It's reposted on my YouTube on the live, 16 parts. Okay. You guys want to be sure to check that out. All right. So as I'm pulling up these notes here, I want everybody in the chat to give me your honest perspective, and maybe even your definition or meaning. If somebody were to ask you, what does compatibility mean? How would you answer that? With what you know now, okay? I just want to see where everybody's at in the chat. If somebody were to ask you, what does compatibility mean? What would you say? Oh, these notes are deep. Okay. If somebody were to ask you, what does compatibility mean? Okay. What would you say? Put that in the chat as I'm finding these notes. I don't really know. Okay. Awesome. I appreciate you, Clyde. Okay, 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 okay. Uh, all right. Here we go. Yes, yes, yes. Okay, here we go. Trying to find it, y'all. It's deep down here though. It's deep down here. All right. I'm just bringing it back up. There you go. All right. Appreciate y'all. Shout out to Jenna in the building. Yep, appreciate you. Ashley says, "How well two people work together and fit into each other's lives." Okay. Anybody else? I did play basketball, Clyde. I did. I did. I don't. I mean, I do now still, but it's just not as serious. Okay. Anybody else? If somebody were to ask you, what does compatibility mean? What would you say? What would you say? What would you say? I'll wait for one more answer and then I'll move on because I want to give you an actual definition of something that you can create and continue moving forward with when it comes to compatibility. If somebody were to ask you, what does compatibility mean? What would you say? Yeah, Clyde, we're gonna describe it here in a bit. I got you. Alicia in the building. How you living? George Lopez, Jorge Lopez. I'm not sure how I say that. What's up, B? Good to see you. Anyone else? If somebody were to ask you, what does compatibility mean? What would you say? Because I'm about to give y'all the cheat code. Okay. Okay, here we go. All right. Oof. Oof. What? Cooking. Cooking. Okay. So, compatibility. All right. This is a definition that you want to carry with you as you move forward. Okay. Something that's going to make a lot of sense regarding your dating moving forward. Okay. Compatibility is the measurement of alignment with someone you're connected to. Matter of fact, I'll say it like this. Let's just make it as plain as day. Compatibility is the measurement of alignment with somebody you are attracted to. Compatibility is the measure of alignment with somebody you are attracted to. Now, here's what's beautiful about compatibility and defining it in this manner is because we realize that we actually have the capacity to cultivate and build a sense of compatibility with someone we're connected to. So, for those of you who believe in some type of way that compatibility is just something that falls out the sky, not taking calls at the moment, country boy. If you think that somebody who is connected with you, right, this compatibility is just supposed to fall out the sky, all right, or is just supposed to be all sparks, all feelings, okay, we're wrong. This definition that again, albeit is custom made, but something that is connected to a foundation of compatibility gives us the permission to see the value in cultivating compatibility instead of just wishing for compatibility. Compatibility is something that we have to cultivate, and it begins with a level of attraction to somebody you're connected to. Well, what is attraction? That's the next step, right? If compatibility is connected to attraction, then what is attraction? Okay. Well, typically people will define attraction to be only something that's physical. I'm telling you that attraction in its entirety is a lot deeper than just physical. What's up, Sahil? How you living? In the YouTube chat. Good to see you. Okay. Because attraction is a lot deeper than the physical. All right. Attraction is something that actually builds a desire Okay. Attraction is just simply the desiring of someone else, the desiring of who you see, the desiring to connect with someone. That's physical. That's also cultivated in emotional, mental, and spiritual aspects. Okay. Because I can look at somebody and and agree that they're beautiful and they're also not attractive. This gonna mess y'all up. This gonna mess y'all up. I can acknowledge somebody being beautiful and at the same time not be attractive. We've all met somebody that is probably a 9 or a 10 or whatever you want to rank them. And as soon as you get to know them because they start talking themselves down to a 2. Hey, I appreciate you a ton, Gigi. Thank you for sticking around. I hope these conversations continue to be helpful for you. Somebody can talk their way out of being a 10 to a 2 real quick because the character, worldviews, perspectives, beliefs, all the things that ultimately make up the estimation of an individual, okay, all of a sudden starts dwindling. Okay. And you want to know how there's a lot of people who are falling more for the beauty aspect than the attraction aspect is because when push comes to shove, when that person here's how you know. This is a really good point. Here's how you know that you are more caught up in the beauty and aesthetics of a person than the actual experiences and perspectives, aspects, the actual makeup of who this person truly is at their core, regarding their views, alignment, so on and so forth. When that person makes you mad, or when that person does something or does a multitude of things that is outside of what you say you value, the reason why you still stay with them and the only reason you still stay with them is because they're cute. When the whole premise of you talking to somebody, staying with somebody, being with somebody is because they got a cute thing going on and that's it. If you wasn't cute, I wouldn't even be with you. Not for the mental, emotional well-being, not for anything that they actually have the ability to control, to manage, to deal with healthily. That is one of the greatest signs that you know that you're just here for the physical aesthetics. That you're just here for the physical aesthetics. The sound is less fast than the light. Hey, there it is. Therefore, people seem attractive before they talk. Absolutely. Absolutely. This is something that we have to take note of. Okay. I'm not saying that beauty doesn't matter. You are never going to hear Coach Sean on any platform tell you that physical attraction doesn't matter. We all know that physical attraction plays the role in even somebody wanting to approach you, let alone get to know more of you. No one walks up to you and is like, wow, you have an amazing heart. They can't even see it. What is the first things that they typically see? Wow, your style is amazing. Wow, you look really beautiful. Wow, you look really handsome. Okay. So the physical attraction matters. And you are never going to hear me say otherwise. But this is where we're going with this is that even though you can have beauty outwardly, it is really tested by what we get to learn of you inwardly by the more conversation we have, the more times we hang, the more times we connect, the more questions we ask. This is what's able to determine the value of the depth of attraction that can be there. Okay. So if compatibility, okay, yep, and it's subjective. Beauty is in the eye of the beholder. Absolutely. Okay. Beauty is in the eye of the beholder. And beauty is also something that we all have a way of being able to take ownership of. Okay. Fellas, groom, get you some cologne. Get you some smell good. It ain't got to be the most expensive. All right. You can do something with your hair. You can do something with you can do something to clean up, to groom up. All these things are in our capacity. And if you don't know how, I'm sure there's somebody around you that can help if you just ask. Closed mouths don't get fed. Okay. And be in a place where you're experimenting. Don't feel like you can just do something so wrong you can't get it right. All right. This goes for both women and men. But we have to be able to build on what we see instead of just allowing what's seen to be all there is. So if compatibility, okay, is the measurement of alignment with someone you're attracted to, and attraction, all right, attraction is something that goes deeper than physical skin deep. Okay. If we try to give a custom definition, I'll try to make it make sense. Attraction is the combination of physical, mental, emotional, and even spiritual beauty. Okay. It's the combination of these things. I see you, you look good, and your character, and your integrity, and your consistency, and your emotional intelligence, and all these things. Okay. We're not asking somebody to be perfect, but we are asking you to be available. Okay. Attraction is the culmination of all those things. It's the culmination of physical, mental, and emotional beauty. All right. So now that that's there, compatibility and attraction, okay, let's also talk about what compatibility is not. Okay. This is only makes sense for those of you who are actually wanting to deal with a healthy lens of dating. Okay. And this is something that's going to make sense as we unpack it a little bit further. Okay. So let's talk about this. Compatibility, you're gonna want to write this down. Okay. Because this is going to be the difference between you dating healthily and securely and constantly attaching and calling it having fun. This is going to be the difference between you filtering out those that make sense and actually using your time wisely and then constantly wasting it because you're going out with everybody that looks cute, but not somebody that has substance. This is the difference between you honoring your time and wasting your time. I wish I had my soundboard. Knowing this is the difference between you engaging in discernment and then constantly choosing from places of anxiousness, fear, pain, unhealed wounds. Okay. By understanding what compatibility is not. This is the difference between you making a healthy decision and seeing somebody that actually is in front of you that has the capacity of being your spouse and then passing up on them because you constantly are comparing them to previous experiences you've had that all of them were horrible and toxic. This is the difference between you allowing somebody that you're connected with to be who they are and you being okay with that and growing with that. And then you constantly trying to compare them to previous experiences and people that aren't in your life anymore. Okay. So, number one, compatibility is not attraction only. Okay. So, again, people think, well, they're cute. We have chemistry. Conversation is just flowing. Okay. Maybe you think, oh, they want marriage. I want marriage too. They want kids. I want kids too. Okay. They have a six-figure job. I do too. They have a business and entrepreneurship experience. I do too. Okay. They make me laugh. They like the same music. Cool. That's all similarities and we can have fun with that. But realize that that is not enough. That's just what's getting us in the door to connect. That is not the stable or the center of the connection. Okay? So let me tell you what these questions are really asking. So attraction asks the question, do I want them? Attraction asks the question, do I want this person? Okay? Do I want them? Is there anything about them that I want to know more of, that I want to continue to want more of? Okay. Compatibility ask a total different question. And compatibility is asking more of, can we build something healthy together? So for all of you who don't want to build a relationship, relationships just simply aren't for you. I can't tell you how many times I hear, I don't want to build this person. I don't want to be building. I just want to have it all. I just want, no, that doesn't work. It doesn't matter what season of life you are in regarding relationships. There's something you're going to have to build with the person you're connecting with. It is not ever going to be handed to you on just a silver platter for you to do nothing. And you believing that is actually what is keeping you single more than anything else. So for all my high achievers that are out here, man, I'm already established. I don't want to build nothing with them. You're only considering building from the aspect of financial stability. I'm telling you that there's every area of your relationship, there's going to be something you're going to have to invest into that's going to require you to build with them. If that is safety, if that's communication, if that is just simply learning how to enjoy one another's interests and hobbies that are opposite from one another, you're going to have to learn to build something with them. It's not all going to be handed to you on a silver platter. Okay. This is really important. Really important. Attraction answers the question, do I want them? Compatibility as, can I build something healthy with them? Okay. So where attraction has a foot in the door and is an introduction, this is what is beginning conversations for us. Compatibility is simply exercising discernment. This is really good. Y'all going to want to note this. Compatibility is exercising discernment to see if there's something here worth building together. You cannot actually build a sense of compatibility with somebody without exercising the practice of discernment. We've talked about this, okay? Just as a simplistic definition for discernment is seeing something for what it is and responding accordingly. How do I get to a place of exercising discernment healthily, coach? Here's a great step. Ask questions and don't stop asking questions. Some of us feel like discernment is just something that's supposed to just fly in and download for us. No, ask questions. Ask questions. The more questions you ask, the more you have the ability to learn about somebody. Okay. What if someone was trying, shout out to Angel in the chat and TikTok chat. What if someone you're trying to connect with doesn't want to build and try? Then that doesn't sound like a relationship that we actually have the room to continue to build. I am a coach. Yes, Sahil. Yes. So this doesn't have to be something that's a trick. Okay. This doesn't have to be a trick. When I ask questions, I get an opportunity to listen to the responses. Y'all, people love talking about themselves. We have to get to a place in dating where we just allow people to talk about themselves. And as we listen to them, they are telling on themselves by the things they say and the things they don't. And we're constantly measuring this by saying, man, is this something that I want to continue to know? We got too many people out here who are getting married to people that y'all really don't like. And that's why the divorce rates are high. And that's why people, because church is trying to rush you into things. And then culture is just giving you permission to feel things without committing. And we got too many people who are hurrying to walk to altars and hurrying to marriages, hurrying to destinations, and you don't even like the person that you're holding hands with, that you're about to say these vows to, that you don't mean. So do yourself a favor and stop wasting your time connecting with people who are not somebody that you genuinely want to continue to build with. I promise you, you'll save so much time. One of the greatest things that I've learned so far as I'm learning and growing and or not, I'm always learning, but continuing to grow in my security and dating in that rhythm, in that secure rhythm. One of the biggest differences is me being able to feel so full and abundant that I don't have to feel tied to somebody that I just met. If I'm talking to you and I'm noticing there really isn't a desire for me to want to get on the phone with you, connect with you, keep talking to you in any kind of capacity, I'm not going to waste our time. Hey, it was great meeting you. I don't see this moving forward than what we already have. Because I know for me, there's a level and measurement of excitement that I'm going to have for the person that I want to continue to know and I want to ultimately make a decision on to continue to do life with. I'm not saying that that excitement has to be there consistently, but early on, as I'm getting to know them, it should be there pretty strongly. And in the event that it's not, let's be honest. We can have great conversation. You can be a great person. It honestly has nothing to do with you. And it doesn't mean either one of us are dysfunctional because I'm deciding to move on. This just doesn't seem to fit what I'm looking for and what I need and what I'm after. Let's just be honest with who we're connecting with instead of wasting people's time. I got to get through this. Okay. But number one, compatibility is not just attraction. Okay. Here it is. Number two, compatibility is not chemistry. Oh, this gonna mess some of y'all up real bad. This gonna mess some of y'all up real bad. Compatibility is not chemistry. Is chemistry something that can be included in the process of connecting with somebody? Yes, but it is not the defining feature of compatibility. What do I mean by chemistry? Okay. Again, we have shared humor. Okay. There's some shared physical attraction. Clearly, there's something we're both seeing about each other that we like. Okay. Maybe there is a little bit of emotional ease, similar interests, and good conversation. Listen, y'all, as somebody who yaps for a living, I have to honestly tell you that it is not hard for me to carry good conversation with anybody and everybody I experience. So my level of dating is measured a little bit differently. That doesn't mean that you shouldn't measure people's ability to have good conversation as a part of a trait that you consider to have somebody with. But here's the thing, y'all. When you know you can have good conversations with people and you can spark up conversations with just about anybody, you realize that that's more of a lower bar than it is a high one. I want y'all to recognize and just wake up from a place of security, healthy alignment that this is a place. Okay. When we're looking at the dating pool and all the things, man, there's a lot of things that people are saying and screaming to the high heavens and putting as high priorities that are really low bars of measurement. Being able to have conversation and just connect, y'all, all it requires is a level of curiosity. And if you're meeting somebody that has curiosity, welcome to the table, welcome to the conversation, but that does not mean that we're compatible. That just means that I'm experiencing somebody that also has a level of curiosity to the life that they're wanting, has a level of curiosity to the conversation they want to build. That's a beautiful thing. That doesn't mean that you're the right one for me, though. And we have to stop using these low measures as something that means, oh my goodness, this is the one. This is God sent. I've been praying for this because people can be good conversationalists and still not be talking about nothing because they're good conversationalists to something that doesn't really matter to the life you're living, where you're going, who you are, or just the fun, enjoyable things that you like in life. Okay. And there's a day coming where we're going to talk a little bit about compatibility regarding the physicality of things, because there is some studies and science behind physical compatibilities. I don't have that in front of me, but we're going to come back and talk about that at some point. But I just got to get this out to you because I'm seeing a lot of spaces. One thing that I'll just say it from my own experiences again as I'm back in the dating spaces, something that I've even gotten myself. Okay, we're not compatible. This, that, and the third. Okay. And what I've noticed is that there are a lot of people who are quicker to attribute a sense of lack of compatibility to things that are a lot different than what real compatibility is. What we're running into is people are in different ages, spaces, and seasons of their life where they might need a little bit more than what it is you may have to offer in this current season. And not being compatible is a very valid reason to not continue moving forward in a connection. And some of you take that so personally that you then decide to rush and hurry your life to become available for somebody who did not want you in a season where you're developing. This is why I'm saying with compatibility, alignment. I want to give y'all a quick secret when it comes to dating and dating healthily. This is why you need to date on your level. And dating on your level looks different from season to season. But when you find somebody with the level you're currently at and any level that you're at, this makes a massive difference. For those of you who may not necessarily be balling and shot calling in your finances, but you're dating, you're getting an opportunity to see who wants you for you and not for what you have. Because I promise you, if you wait to get to the finances to qualify for dating and relationships, you're going to have another question you're going to want to ask on the other end of that. And that's, man, and who wants me for me? Do you want me for me or do you want me for what I have? It's another question. All these questions that are valid, but there are some seasons where you're going to be able to get that answered sooner rather than later if you're willing to be more creative instead of allowing or disqualifying yourself from the dating pool, from experiencing relationships because of what you don't have. Think about what you do have and move in abundance from those lanes creatively. Makes a massive difference. Something that I'm honestly constantly telling clients regularly. The compatibility trap is believing it's limited to physical attraction and it's limited to chemistry. That's the trap. You laugh so much with them, you forget that you done fallen in love. You fall in love so fast, you don't even realize you've fallen in love with a fool. All because this person is deciding to give us a level of attention that we're not used to. All because this person decided to give us some time that people haven't given to us in so long. And that is what we have to be mindful of with this compatibility conversation. Here's what people don't tell you is that sometimes what you're considering to be chemistry is just familiarity, inconsistency, anxiety, okay? Old runes feeling recognized. I can't tell y'all how many times I run into people in this space who will tell me to my face, we were compatible. And then when we get to describing what gave you permission to believe y'all were compatible, it was things like we've been through the same things. Oh my God, y'all not gonna like me. We've been through the same things. We've had the same pains, we've had the same wounds, we've had the same stories. So that must mean we're compatible. Uh-uh. Because if you're coming from the same background, and let's just say that same background is actually more unhealthy than it is healthy, my question is who's doing the healing work to come out of those situations and setups and programmings? Or are you both just connecting because you guys recognize the pains in each other, but you don't know how to move and heal? Even lepers knew how to create community in scripture. That didn't mean they were healing. When you're in pain, when you're in pain, you have a way of connecting with other people who are also in pain. And when we don't have solutions, we just circulate. We circulate the pains, we circulate the problems, we circulate the worries, and we don't actually move forward. That's why, even though we have room for empathy, we also need solution. And there's a lot of you, this is where you get your red pill communities, your sprinkle sprinkle, your sparkle sparkle, your 50-50, this crew, pink pill, red pill, this pill, that pill, every pill. Because everybody's connecting from pains, but not wanting to actually heal those wounds effectively. And you'll confuse yourself and tell yourself you're healing and progressing, but you're not. This is a problem. Okay. Again, we're not saying chemistry can't be a good thing. Don't hear me say chemistry can't be a part of it. I'm saying that it's not limited to and not the only thing. So sometimes, okay, what you're maybe calling butterflies is just attachment wounds that you're allowing to lead you. And when you're allowing those attachment wounds to lead you, proof of it is your clinginess to outcomes. Proof of it is your quickness to cling to the version of this person that hasn't really been met, but you're hoping you'll get to experience. The quickness to cling to what's said instead of behaviors and actions. This is a problem. Okay. So, again, chemistry, much like attraction, gets the attention. We have to become aware enough to recognize, oh, this is just a step. This ain't all of it. Chemistry and attraction gets you in the door, but it is not the entire thing. Okay? So chemistry is not, or you get it. Compatibility is not chemistry. Compatibility is not just attraction. Okay? Those are the two big things. Can I also tell you what compatibility is not? Put one in the chat if y'all can hear me still. I just had a notification about my sound. So can I hear me still? Everything good? Put a one in the chat. Okay, good. Good. I got a one from that. All right. Okay, good. Good. So, you want to know what also compatibility is not? How well y'all perform in bed. I for the life of me, I'm gonna be honest. Okay. This ain't got nothing to do with me, no beef, no nothing. Okay. But I have to tell y'all that this conversation on sexual compatibility has to be one of the fakest conversations I've heard circulated on the internet. And I know that there are probably some legitimate studies and things like that that science could probably point us to. But I'm here to tell you that a lot of times what y'all are calling sexual compatibility is just a reflection of you not really willing to commit to learning to love the person you're connected to. This conversation on sexual compatibility blows my mind. And I think one of the biggest things and reasons why it is such a huge conversation is because y'all done tried every flavor under the heavens and you want your significant other to be a mixture of them all who don't exist. And so instead of wanting to build, learn the body of the one you're connected to, you would rather them come with everything attached so that that saves you from having to teach somebody how you like to be pleased. Y'all really don't want the smoke because I'd really be coming for a lot of y'all who are under these one night stands y'all love doing too. Y'all love doing these one night stands just because y'all feeling it, just because y'all happy. The vibes were immaculate. And he done folded you like a pretzel, and now you can't get him off your mind. And you don't even realize he got a whole nother family. He married, he got kids in a whole nother state, whole nother country. You don't even realize he ain't done no kind of healing work intentionally, nothing. And now here you are, got to go through an entire process to grieve the loss of a connection of somebody unnecessarily because we fell for vibes. Because we fell for vibes. Now, here's the thing, y'all. This is why I'm saying this, right? I'm not even coming at this from a Bible perspective, thumping, whatever. Okay, I'm not even coming from that. Before I go there, I got plenty of science, and science partner with God. It don't go against him. Okay, legit science, I should say. And one of the things that science lets us know is that one of the best ways to determine somebody's effectiveness, y'all hear me? Somebody's effectiveness and the ability to connect with you sexually has less to do with where they are in bed, how much practice they've had in bed, and has a lot less to do with size, has a lot less to do with aesthetics, has a lot less to do with what you've learned through pornography, through what you've learned through other things. Let me put y'all on game. One of the greatest ways of determining any kind of spaces in that is one's ability to be in the present. Sex in and of itself, y'all, from a nervous system modality, when it's safest and most pleasurable, is when both people are able to be fully present in the experience. But y'all know what y'all like to do? Y'all like to use this as a means to escape life and use it to numb, which is why you chase climaxes and why the connection is nothing more than just somebody that you just added to the list that you ran through instead of somebody that you actually connected with. This is why people are looking at sex not as a form of action that is with love, but as an action that is completely built on passion. And proof of it is because we're using it to chase climaxes. The point of experiencing a sexual connection with somebody that you're doing life with has never been to orgasm. It's not the goal. But porn don't teach you that. Oftentimes, if you go to church, they don't teach you that. But that's not because that kind of conversation maybe is not warranted on pulpits. So I don't blame that. Okay. But there's a lot of resources that you've looked into that have probably taught you a variety of different things, but didn't teach you that. So I'm putting you on game because a lot of people like to use these kinds of one night stands and experiences to escape emotions, to escape feelings out of fear of committing, out of fear of closeness, out of fear of vulnerability, out of fear of all these things. And yet you're still missing the point. And here's what's crazy. Here's what's crazy. God's creation of sex is so immaculate that you'll experience a knockoff version of it and still think it's the best experience you'll have. Now imagine doing it in aligned spaces. And I'm not saying I'm not going in any other direction than just getting us to understand the impact of exactly what we're leaving behind. Compatibility and this whole conversation on sexual compatibility, to be honest, y'all, it blows my mind. It blows my mind because we're using one night stand. Hey, I just want to get physically intimate. I want to know if this makes sense. I want to know if this is something that actually, if we align in that. Okay. And people are using this as stepping stones to their relationship. And I'm telling you, it's why you're still single and it's hard for you to find somebody. Now, listen, you can hear this and still say it's my prerogative. And like Bishop Bobby Brown said, I'll do what I want to do. But I'm telling you, as somebody who is in front of people and coaching people who are navigating situations and pains like this, who are navigating seasons of life, who are navigating transitions and doing, relationships in a healthy, secure way. Sexual compatibility, y'all, cannot be what we use to measure somebody else's availability of connection. Now, here's also something that y'all not gonna like, because this is actually the part where we probably might see a lot of us believers get real excited, like, oh my God, telling the truth, go off. Here's something that a lot of people won't tell you, and I've had plenty of conversations with clients like this. This is not me saying that marriage is a requirement. Now, I'm not saying that we shouldn't wait. I do think it's beneficial to wait. I do. You're talking to somebody who's willing and wanting to wait and is doing just that, waiting till marriage. But people won't tell you this in church settings for whatever reason. I don't know. But have y'all ever noticed that the people who made it their mission to wait till marriage, waited till marriage, still got divorced 2 to 3 years after marriage? And the people that didn't wait till marriage created long-lasting relationships and marriages that are actually healthy and God-centered. What's the difference? It's not because somebody waited for sex and somebody didn't. I don't believe that's the difference. I believe that there are differences between those couples and those people. And I believe one couple was willing to work on intentional, tangible things, mental, emotional, spiritual maturity, and health that allowed them to come into agreement and alignment together. And then there was a couple who thought, well, if I just wait, God will bless. My marriage is going to be phenomenal if I just wait till marriage. If I save myself, if I say no, if I deny the flesh, we'll use all kind of spiritual language. And if I do all that, God's going to bless my marriage. Forgetting that you had a role to play in cultivating that healthy relationship. Because even though you ain't got no bodies to your name, you got a lot more bodies with your mouth because of how reckless you talk. You have no emotional control. You have no maturity in your mental capacities. You don't communicate. You think everything you experience is what you deserve, and you're too good to connect and build with somebody that you're saying I do too. So all this conversation where people are like, well, it's, and then we'll use and misuse scriptures like it's better to wait than to burn, as if Paul is talking about burning lustfully. And so it's better. No, you're using the text out of context. It's kind of crazy. It's kind of wild. And so you know what I think? I just think that instead of going online and condemning and bashing people or whatever the case we might do to shame people to wait till marriage, shaming people to making some different decisions, shaming people. Listen, y'all, I just think that you should do the relationship that makes the most sense for you and that is most aligned with the convictions and things that God is doing in you, because I have seen it too many times. I'm going to wait till marriage only for that relationship to still fall apart, and somebody else deciding, hey, maybe it wasn't with them. They experienced it. They had sex, whatever the case was. And then they got together. There are plenty of marriages probably in your local church right now that probably will not be honest with you. Maybe they will. I don't know. But it's a lot of people in church that wear masks. And this ain't me hating on it. I love the church. Part of my work is aligned in it. Ugh. But I'm telling you this as somebody who is sitting in front of these people who are sitting in front of others. It is problematic when we are sitting up here preaching a message, shaming people to wait till marriage, all the while you didn't do that and you still are able to create a healthy relationship. Now, that doesn't mean that we can't learn from our decisions and say, man, I wish I would have done better. I wish I would have done different. That's a different conversation. I love it. I've had conversations like, again, I've had conversations with enough people that is like, yo, um, like I do wish I would have waited. hmm I've had a mixture of both worlds. Man, I wish I would have waited. I wish I would have did. I wish I would have saved myself. I wish I would have did this. I wish I would have did that. And then I've seen people get so frustrated and upset with God because God, I did everything you said. I waited. I saved myself. How did I still end up here divorced? How did I still end up here with a broken heart? How did I still end up here in these spaces? Because that was never the measurement of a guarantee of a healthy relationship and marriage. But yet that's what church has taught us over the years. That's what purity culture has taught us over the years. And so I think that's something to deal with. And so sexual compatibility, y'all, I just think that is such a wild conversation. Because if you do the studies, if you do the work, if you look into some external sources, some resources, sex therapists, doctors, all these people that have come together and have made some amazing work in this space regarding these conversations, you will learn that a lot of the things that people are trying to major in are really minor things. Really minor things. And if you genuinely have love for the person that you're connected to, that goes deeper than skin deep, this is an opportunity that you both get the privilege of learning one another and learning how to love each other in a million different ways. Sexual compatibility is not and should never be a part of the list of irreconcilable differences that lead you both to divorce. Somebody somewhere is unwilling to do the work to connect for a plethora of reasons. And maybe one of them is just the simple fact that you didn't like this person as much as you convinced yourself you did before getting married. And that's a you problem and a lack of honesty problem, not a marriage problem, not all the other things that you're quick to list. Okay. 3 things compatibility is not: physical attraction, chemistry, sex. And there's probably more, but I can give you those three. Those are probably the big threes that we see often. I want to challenge those. Can we come together and show you what compatibility is? Put a one in the chat if this has made sense so far. Put a two in the chat if you're ready for what compatibility is, and we'll finish the stream. Okay. Put a one in the chat if this has made sense so far. Put a two in the chat if you're ready for what compatibility is. And this is good for us to know. This is good for us to know. Okay. Oh, got a puzzle piece. He said Puff for president. That's crazy. All right. So let's rock. Okay. We're going to finish this up and then we're going to go and we'll catch y'all next time. All right. So be sure to go to the top of my page for free relational diagnostic as well. And let's continue to build from here. Okay. So let's talk about what compatibility is. All right. Number one, compatibility is patterns. All right. Compatibility is patterns. What do we mean by that? Okay. Well, remember, we're not trying to eliminate physical attraction and chemistry as part of what brings us to the dance. Okay. What brings us to the dance is what we see in one another. Okay. What brings us to the dance is, what we like about each other, what we appreciate about each other physically, all the things, right? That's what brings us to this conversation. Now, patterns is what we need to observe. Well, what patterns are we talking about? Patterns of consistency, following through, okay? Emotional regulation, okay? We're talking about respect for boundaries, communication. What's the fruit in your life? Right? The fruit in your life. It's less about you talking about it, more about you being it. Patterns. Now, we're not saying that this person is supposed to be perfect in every situation. That's not what we're asking for, and that's not what we're expecting. Okay. But a big part of compatibility is paying attention to how somebody decides to live their life day in and day out. The more you get to know them, the more you spend time with them, the more you remain curious about them, how they operate in their everyday living. Okay. Patterns. Patterns. We're not talking about potentiality. We're talking about what is. What do I see? That's a big thing. Okay. Here's the second one. All right. This is really gonna hurt some of y'all, especially those of you who are believers. Okay. Number two, all right, is really a sense of, yes, values. We're gonna say values here. Okay, but we're actually talking more about faith. But this is not in the sense of shared religiosities. Okay. This is in the sense of values, but not shared religiosities. I have to differentiate the two because there are so many of you, men and women, who will get on dating profiles, who will get on social media, and you will say with your chest, you want a man of God, you want a woman of God. And then when you go to describe this person, you say a lot of things that doesn't actually make somebody a man of God or a woman of God. What do I mean by this? You'll say things like, I want a man who reads his word. That don't mean he a man of God, sis. Even the devil know the word. That don't mean he a man of God. I want somebody who goes to church. That don't mean he a man of God. And some of you can attest to that because you dated the media tech dude and you dated the drummer and you dated all these people in the church that really don't have a sense of foundation. That don't mean he a man of God. That don't mean he a woman of God or she a woman of God. Okay. This also does not mean, okay, right? Some of you guys like to press on these particular convictions that you may carry in the walk that you have, and you expect everybody else around you to carry that same conviction when it's not a universal conviction. It's just a you conviction that God is doing and dealing in you. Have to be mindful of that, because part of living a mature life in the faith is not needing everybody else to be convicted by the same things you are personally being convicted of. That isn't necessarily a universal conviction, right? So, for instance, universal convictions, this is more so along the lines of like, okay, cool. Like, no one should be spilling blood, right? No one should be, harming one another. No one should be talking reckless and, destroying people and, gossiping. Yes, all the different things. But just because when you listen to Bobby Brown in mint condition, it makes you want to do some freaky things at night. That don't mean that the next person and the next believer, okay, is not in a lane where they could listen to some Bobby Brown in mint condition and it doesn't make them want to do those things. Then now all of a sudden your conviction on not listening to that now needs to be portrayed onto the person that you're connected to for them not to listen to that. Y'all not gonna like that. But it's very, very, very important that we do not try to impute specific convictions that you may carry in smaller situations onto somebody else that you're connected to. Now, if it's such a big a big of a conviction, right? That like, hey, I this is just something I can't do. This is really, again, we honor those convictions. And I think the right person is going to be able to make an adjustment and say, hey, I know that you said that this is something that you're convicted by. I don't want to play a role in playing and being a stumbling block for you in this space. And so I'm not going to engage in that when around you. Okay. Very important. But let's not project your personal convictions onto somebody else and then have the nerve to say because they're not convicted in the same way you are, then they must not know Jesus. That's not Bible. Okay. We have to be honest about the convictions we carry, yes. And that doesn't mean that everybody else has to carry that same exact conviction to the same degree that we do on smaller things. Okay. And that doesn't necessarily mean that we don't necessarily align either. And I think a part of spiritual maturity gives us the ability to weigh that just a little bit. Okay. So here's some questions that you want to ask yourself in regards to this faith compatibility that, by the way, is more than just saying I'm a Christian, more than just having Bible verses in your bio, more than just you having a get ready with me vlog series of going to church, more than just you being able to quote scripture. Y'all, man, I tell you, these people on these dating apps, y'all be making me laugh. I ain't gonna lie to you. I got a lot of love for you. And if it's where you're at, it's where you're at. I respect it. But we got to come up a little bit. It don't take a whole lot to just get on Google and find a scripture and send it to you. It don't. It really don't. It's a difference between quoting scripture and then living out the word and it's applied and you see it in my life. And know that that takes time. The more that you get to know somebody. So here's some questions. Okay. All right. Number one, do we practice faith similarly? It's a great question. Do we practice faith similarly? All right. Number two, okay. These are some pretty good ones. Something that you want to, maybe consider. Do you have similar convictions? Now, this is around the more of the main things. Okay. Do you have similar convictions around marriage, forgiveness, leadership, submission? Okay. Service, money, sex? Do we have similar convictions? Okay. It can be challenging If you're someone who's like, yo, I have a serious conviction, I'm not going to be engaging in anything sex related until marriage. It's going to be a difficult connection to kind of build on when the person you're with is constantly pressing you to have sex. That probably is like, nah, mm, nah, probably not going to do that. Probably don't make too much sense. Okay. So we have to honor those convictions. But those are more so of the main convictions. Notice how I didn't say anything about maybe the music, style of clothes, some of the stuff that we are quick to come on social media and condemn other people for, not doing, not listening, not having, but it's something that God is maybe personally working in through you. So let's be mindful of that. Okay. Are they connected to community? All right. Is there some respect for boundaries? Here's a good one. Do they have spiritual fruit or just spiritual language? We've talked about this so many times. Words are not fruit, actions are. Words are not fruit, actions are. Okay. So we cannot confuse religion with strong convictions. We can't do that. Just because they go to church and they read their Bible and all those things, again, that's beginning stuff. Great. I love it for you. But I'm going to really know where you are maturity wise, getting to listen more to you, getting to connect more with you. Okay? Just because you're both believers does not mean y'all are equally yoked. And I wish to God y'all would stop using that text like that. Oh my Lord. Just because y'all both know scripture does not mean that y'all are both equally yoked. Because y'all can both know scripture and not near one of y'all got the emotional capacity, mental stability, can't apologize, worth of nothing, lack of self awareness. You flying off the handles and ready to crash out, and then think it's honorable because you say you like Peter. Are you serious? So we got to get to a place where we are more and more mentally, emotionally stable. Because get this, y'all, when we engage in our mental and emotional stabilities, this is actually something that gives us privilege to see Jesus even clearer. Okay. So here's also something that's very uncomfortable for y'all. Okay. Something that I've experienced, something that a lot of y'all might find a little bit uncomfortable, but it is a honest truth. All right. And that is that lifestyle compatibility matters. Y'all not going to like that. But here's the thing, if I've done the work to earn an 800 credit score, okay, and I get perks as part of being at an 800 level credit score, why is it that somebody who is at a 650, 500, 300 credit score, why should they get the same rewards and perks and benefits as somebody at an 800? They don't, because they haven't done the work to earn those kind of perks and benefits. Through my work and everything that I've done, I've earned the right to sit first class every plane trip I take. Why would I feel bad for somebody who has to sit in economy? Don't make sense, do it? If I know I have the finances more than enough to get a Lamborghini, why would I then go to a dealership for a discount on a Honda? Why would I do that? Why would I do that? So, what many people don't like in these conversations when it comes to compatibility is that lifestyle compatibility matters. Y'all, I've been hit with this. This is why I say date on your level. Now, I'm not saying there aren't people who are in different layers and levels of lifestyle, availability, access, who recognize that they have the capacity to connect with somebody who isn't quite where they are in the lifestyle that they've achieved. They're able to travel everywhere. Okay. They're able to go places and do things and just live life up. All right. All the things. But that's a conversation on on capacity. And maybe, just maybe, people who are telling you no isn't because they don't see anything in you. It's because we just simply aren't compatible. There is a lane of life that you're living that, hey, not only have I been there and I know what it's like, I know where you're at and I know what it's been through, but man, I am just at a different place in life where I'm not going back there. I'm not dealing with that. And that's not a knock on you. And that is not something that you have to take personally in the event of somebody telling you, hey, we're just not compatible. Maybe, just maybe, we're trying to acquire, all right, or we're trying to sign up for something that we really don't have capacity for. Some of y'all take the rejection of somebody saying that you're not compatible so personally, as if it's an attack on your character and who you are. And I'm telling you that we have to do a better job of not being reactive in those spaces and being and responding. We have to do a better job of not taking that personally. It's almost like you applying for American Idol, but you know you can't sing. Why on God's green earth do you think you're going to go on American Idol and ball out in front of these judges when everybody in your home, on your block, and the next block know that you can't sing? And you don't got the friends and family around you to tell you, hey, yo, you should sit this one out. You can't sing. This ain't for you. There's a lot of things you can do, but you shouldn't go on American Idol. You shouldn't go on X Factor, or you shouldn't you don't need to be there. And some of us are taking it so personally when people reject us, when we probably, in all honesty, didn't fully compare, or didn't fully qualify. Now, there are some things that you qualify for that you, guess what, you will still experience rejection from. But that's a different thing. When you realize you qualify for it, and we're moving in honesty about these things, this is where we look at it and go, man, listen, that just wasn't right for me. And I'm going to continue to wait patiently and healthily for what is right for me, knowing I have what it takes to get it, to have it, to live in it, to cultivate it. It's a different world, different world. But there are some people that you're going to experience in the dating space. If you date older, if you date on your age, you date a couple years younger, wherever you fall, where somebody is going to look at you. And if you've been out here long enough, they're going to look at you and say, man, we're just not compatible. There's just some areas in your life that you are at, and that's where it's at. And I respect that for you. That's just not where I'm at. We have to learn to be okay with that and not allow that to challenge your security moving forward. Okay. So, two people genuinely may like each other. You may like this person. You may think they're lovely. You may think all the things, but there's some things that y'all don't align in. Okay. And the way that you actually live. Maybe there's some sleep schedule conflict, social life, work demands. Okay. Maybe there's just a season in life, right? Like you're able to travel, you got the finances, you like doing those things. Okay. And perhaps this, like you'll get, you'll be dating down or dating somebody. They don't have the capacity to be able to support your travel dreams right now. And to demand somebody to go broke for you so that you can keep living the life you want to live, disregarding the life they currently have and what they can afford, is distasteful. And so it needs to be honest and say, yo, like, I'm just listening to the context. This is why we ask questions. This is why we ask it. Listen, y'all, I've been here. Let me tell you a little bit of my story. Let me tell you a little bit about it, about my experience. Okay. I encountered a 30-year-old, awesome young lady, amazing, beautiful, all the things. We had one conversation, laughed, joked, had good conversation, talked about some things, had some curious convos, all of it. Great stuff. And she kindly let me know. She was like, hey, we're just not compatible. Because in the conversation, we got to some good conversation of questions and asking like where we are in life, just looking for context clues. Your boy is building a business, still living with the family. And I'm not here to in any way, shape, or form be like, poor me. No, no, no. This is just where I'm at in this season of life. And what's beautiful about dating in this season of life is I get to see, man, who's really going to be here for your boy as I'm building and cultivating. That's a great leverage point. But she is in a different lane and season of life. She's moving on. She's doing big things. So she's got more capacity for that kind of stuff. So sometimes there's just a lack of compatibility in where we are in our season of life. So you either date on your level or maybe you learn to sit this season out until you are able to date on the level you want to date at. Now that comes with some other decisions and consequences too, but we make the decision that makes the most sense for us. Dream Striker, good to see you. I'm good, man. How are you? Okay. Maybe there's some spending habits, there's social life, family involvement, church involvement. Maybe there's some desire for kids that are different. Okay. Sexual boundaries, conflict style, all these things, y'all. Sometimes lifestyle isn't the same. I do believe in God, Dream Striker. Sometimes lifestyle just ain't the same. And you guys have to get into a capacity of learning how to accept that and date on your level and not cling so bad to that that you allow that to deter you from dating or hate on other people for where they are. Okay. If I know I can afford a Lamborghini and I got it in cash, I'm not looking for no Honda gang. You shouldn't either. And so we date on our level and we date with means that makes the most sense for us. Okay. So sometimes lifestyle compatibility is different. All right. So we're not just talking about do we love each other. Sometimes we need to ask the question, hey, do our lives fit without either of us constantly betraying ourselves and what we need and what we want? Okay. Absolutely. No, I don't think the car matters. I think that missed the point though, Dream Striker. We're not saying those things are up top tier. Lifestyle fits though. We gotta take that into consideration. Okay. Here's another thing of what compatibility is. Okay. Compatibility is a measurement of emotional control. Compatibility is a measurement of emotional control. So, can they handle conflict? Can they apologize? Can they communicate discomfort? Regulate emotions, receive feedback, be honest without being cruel, vulnerable? Can they stay present when things are not so easy? Okay. So some of you might not measure your compatibility by lifestyle and what you're available to do and all the things. Some of y'all might measure compatibility by based on, I'm at a different place in my emotional maturity, and this person isn't. Again, this is where we come back to the conversation of capacity. Do you have room to allow this person to develop and grow? Now, don't choose now, and this is something I see oftentimes in my work. Don't choose to allow if we think about it from an 80-20 principle, okay? This person has 80% of what you want in a person, 20%, ain't really all there. But again, we can look at it and say, hey, this is the 20% that maybe I have within me to help cultivate in this person. Maybe it's 85-25 or 85-15. Maybe it's 75-25, 70-30. Okay. But there are some non-negotiables that you need to have in your mind that's like, well, out of all things to be in that 20% or whatever percentage is, missing of this person, there are some things I'm looking at and I'm going, I don't want this to be in that group. Y'all, emotional maturity needs to be in that group. Stop trying to minimize emotional maturity and thinking that you can change this person. If they don't have it now, we're not saying they can't grow into it, but if you're not seeing any principles, any patterns, any statistical, not statistic, but consistent efforts and growing in these things, y'all, we run into brick walls. We're hoping and wishing for the best. So in that other 20% that you have the ability to develop in somebody, I don't think emotional maturity should be a part of that game. Now, we're not saying that this person needs to be able to handle conflict like Christ. I think a great measurement to this is, where are you at? If you still struggle to apologize, I don't think it makes sense for you to demand somebody else to be easy at apologizing. When you struggle to apologize, you can't even be honest about yourself in terms of what you engage in on a day-to-day basis. So we want to measure that by where you are. And if both of you are where you are and that's where both of you are, great. Y'all can journey to that together. Okay. But we're talking about this measurement of emotional compatibility. That stuff matters. Okay. Oftentimes, it's not because people lack love that's why the relationship falls apart. It's oftentimes because somebody or both parties don't have the emotional wherewithal to know what it takes to stay connected, to repair and repair quickly. The game of security is not absent of emotion, conflict, and all the things. It's our ability to repair quickly. Okay. You don't just need somebody who likes you. Let's just say it like that. Okay. You need someone who can handle the weight of building with you. All of us come with some kind of struggle. All of us come with something that we're building. All of us come with something that we don't have fully put together. The question is, out of everybody else in this life, is this somebody that I want to build with? Is this somebody that I want to struggle with alongside life? That's a great question to ask. If you acknowledge you got some struggles, they acknowledge they got some struggles. If you acknowledge you're willing to heal, they're acknowledging they're willing to heal. The question is, do I want to heal with you? And this is what makes it so beautiful, is because you run into couples and people all the time, like, oh my goodness, like I wouldn't imagine doing this with anybody else. I wouldn't imagine healing and working through all these things with anybody else than the person I'm with. So if we both come to that conclusion, then let's do the work and let this be ongoing. Okay. And then finally, okay, we've been saying the same word the whole time. Compatibility is also capacity. So compatibility is emotional regulation, emotional availability. Okay. Let's just run down the list real quick. Okay. Compatibility is lifestyle measurement. Okay. Compatibility is faith filled values. Compatibility is patterns. Okay. Finally, compatibility requires two things: direction and capacity. Direction and capacity. Ladies, if you're dating and you're in the space of dating, it doesn't matter where you are. My encouragement to you is to invest in a vision with the person you're connected to. Invest in a vision that you are connected to. We have to be willing to invest in the vision. He doesn't have to have everything right now, because you don't have everything right now and you're growing and building. Find somebody whose vision, as they express it to you, you're looking at and listening to, and you're going, I can see myself not only helping this person develop this vision, but I also want to partner with them to see what this vision turns out to be. Something I tell fellas all the time in your dating spaces, and as you're building a relationship and as you guys are developing further connections and growing in this long-term relationship, you want to find a way to include your girl in what that vision looks like. Describe it to her. She's probably not looking for all the money in the world and for you to start turning things around immediately, but she does want to see, what does this vision actually look like, and how do I even play a role in this vision coming to life? Am I included? She doesn't need to know all the details from the beginning to the end, but she does want to be a part of it. So include her. And this is going to help you step up to the plate and make sure that you're doing everything you need to do every day, all day, to invest in that vision, because ultimately you're the one driving the ship. So if you don't say anything, that is just as detrimental as you feeling like you need to say something. Saying nothing is also leading her. It's just leading her in the wrong direction. Would you put that in the chat? Saying nothing is also leading her. It's just leading her in the wrong direction. So we're not asking you to say everything and express everything, but there needs to be a description of vision where she feels, okay, I can see where this is going. We have tangible steps on what that vision is developing into, and she feels she can be a part of it. So when we're talking about direction, ladies, you got to invest in somebody who's got that. We have too many people who are looking for the same type of person. What do we mean by this? You're looking for somebody who's already established a vision you don't really have to invest into. You don't have to do nothing but just show up and be pretty. And I love that for you. And if you find somebody who's willing to do that with you, great. But for a lot of you, because you're chasing after the same type of man, and then you go after him and he has other options other than you. And so he doesn't consider you. And so then you start saying all men are this and all men are that, when it's really just the small percentage of men that you've connected with who got a variety of options, who use language like they want long term commitment, but really don't. You need to be willing to switch up your game plan. And part of that may look like you connecting with somebody who isn't all the way there, but you see the vision. They're very passionate about the vision, excited about the vision. It's something that wakes them up every day. They're locked in. And yes, as part of that vision, it has some ups and downs, but you also realize your role in speaking life into that vision, life into that man, because you see the work, you see who he is, and you want to speak life into him coming up in the vision that he has. That is the definition of a helpmate. I wish I had my soundboard, but I don't. That is the definition of a helpmate. So, all of you who want to be helpmates, that is an opportunity for you to show what it would look like for you to be a helpmate. We're not asking for it all to be perfect, but a lot of women underestimate the life that is spoken into the vision for the man who's moving in it. And a lot of men underestimate it too, right? Because men, I'm gonna be honest, y'all love to come out here and demand the girl to be everything, running a business, cooking, cleaning, and throwing it back at night. It's too much. You got to do something. I don't know if you can tell, but she's tired. And you not alleviating that pressure doesn't actually help anything. So it goes both ways. Okay. So that's direction. And then we're talking about capacity, y'all. Okay. Truth is that somebody can be a good person and still not be the right fit for you. We said it in the beginning. There are people who make good friends. That doesn't mean they make a good spouse. That doesn't mean they make a good life partner. I've met quite a few women in my journey right now, make good friends, not a life partner. Okay. And that's okay. Okay. Maybe they're recently out of a relationship. Maybe they're not in the same lane of maturity. Maybe they're not emotionally available. They're not ready or they're not willing in any capacity. They're not ready or they're not willing. But here's the beautiful thing about moving in this sense of security, it's not our job to figure that out. Listen, y'all, I have learned to just believe people when they show me who they are. When you say this is where you're at and what you're ready for, what you're not ready for, I'm not here to argue and convince you that you're ready for something more. I'm not here to pull teeth. I'm not here to force you to be where you don't want to be. Whatever reservations you have for why you want to walk out, I'm encouraging y'all to just let people go, because the anxiousness that is cultivated in you is more so from you trying to cling on to a version of this person you created in your head versus what's actually there, and you feeling like letting them go means you're a failure. You letting them go means that you're not enough. You letting them go means that you're now losing more and more time, less chances and less opportunities to get the marriage and relationship you want, and that's coming more so from lack, not from abundance. And so that's us needing to be challenged by that, by letting that go, not feeling like that needs to be something that we have to cling to this person to prove to ourselves we can choose healthy now. Not to cling to this person to prove that we have what it takes. Thank you for the rose, Mel. Appreciate you a ton. Thank you so much for the love. I appreciate y'all over on TikTok. Okay. Thank you so much for the share of hope. Appreciate you a ton, man. You're doing. Hey, I appreciate the love. It is not required. I appreciate it a ton. So we have to be willing to be honest about these things, man. Okay, we're out here clinging to all these things, and it's causing more and more stress. Other than letting it go. Okay, sometimes the capacity is like, man, I would want to, but right now I'm not ready. I don't have it. I'm not as stable. There's a lot in life going on right now. Maybe there's some lack of clarity and direction in life. There's so many different reasons that we can throw in here, y'all. Again, when somebody tells you things like they're not ready, thank you for the daily heart me. When somebody tells me things like they're not ready, maybe they thought they were and they weren't. Okay. That is not an invitation for me to convince them. That is an invitation for me to believe them and keep it moving. Just like somebody might tell you that they're too good for you. Listen, y'all, if every time you're connected to this person and they're constantly saying things like they're too good for you, okay? Or you're too good for them rather, okay? You're too good for them. And that's something that they constantly are reminding you of in the relationship. Listen, y'all, I am not here. I am not here. Well, thank you so much, Alanya. Appreciate you. I am not here to convince somebody to stay where they don't feel they're ready. I'm not here to do that. What do I look like? No. No, 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 no. No, 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 no. I wish I had my soundboard. If I say if I what did Dr. Zev say? If I could say it in Spanish, I would. No. I'm not here to live a life constantly convincing somebody of why they need to be in my space. It's too much. I'm at a different lane and space of living. So I want you to have the confidence to realize that if I choose you, it was for a purpose and a reason. And I'm not saying reassurance don't go a long way. I'm all down for reassurance. I love that. Let's feed into that. Let's rock. But let's not no, no, no. I'm not here to convince you of why you need to stick around and stay. Okay? Sometimes life is just too much. Sometimes there's a lot of things going on. People are in different seasons and different spaces of life. That is something that we need to learn to be okay with if that's the reservation for somebody else not choosing you. Security doesn't always need answers. Security realizes that the rhythm in your life, the secure rhythm in your life, is not dependent on getting answers because we're not entitled to it. And guess what, y'all? People don't owe us anything. They don't owe you an answer. They don't owe you an explanation. They don't owe you anything. So we have an opportunity to be able to engage in this a little bit healthier. Some people are not ready to be known, not ready to lead, not ready to commit. They're still healing. They're still doing these things. And that's all their reservations. That doesn't make them bad. It just means that they're unavailable and they don't have the capacity for what you're ready for. And if you're ready for more and they're not, we have to make an intentional executive decision and we have to move on. Because the last thing you ever want to do is force somebody into a season of life they're not ready for. Force somebody into a space of life that they don't have capacity for, and now you're here pulling teeth and dragging them somewhere they don't want to be. Willingness and readiness. Are they willing? Do they want to? And are they ready? Do they have the capacity to? And when there's willingness and readiness, both of them, the relationship can take place. When there's a will, there's a way. When there's a will, there is a way. Okay? A good person in a wrong season can still be a wrong choice. A good person in a wrong season can most certainly be the wrong choice. And some of us are making decisions on people because they were a good person and you convinced yourself you don't know if you'll ever find anybody else like them. And so you cling to them and you married them. And now here they are wanting out because ain't no peace, because they weren't ready, because they had to sacrifice and give up so much that they weren't ready to give up. You had to do the same. That's too much mess. And now here we are at the end of the relationship talking about, well, you know, what who's getting what? Because The same issues that were present before are present now. Okay. Availability is a big part of compatibility, y'all. So y'all stop forcing these people that ain't ready to be with you because you can't see yourself being with nobody else. That's selfish. That's not love. And we got to learn to live in a world where we're open handed and secure in who we are, full in who we are. So we are not forcing people to be where they are not. Time and chance happens to us all. Ain't that what Solomon said? There's a time for everything there's a time for every season under the sun. To everything there is a season, a time for every purpose under the heavens. There we go. Seasons, y'all. Seasons. Okay? Does this make sense? That's a little bit on compatibility. There's probably so much more we could touch on. I have to come back and revisit it. I'm way over time. Put a one in the chat if this was helpful. Put a one in the chat if this was helpful. I appreciate y'all the time for sticking with me in this compatibility conversation. Hope you took some notes. The replay will be up on YouTube to rewatch and re-listen to. Okay. It's really important for those of you who are finding yourselves to be high achievers in this space too. Compatibility is just that much more important. Compatibility is just that much more important. And for a lot of you, it's not so much about finding somebody who is just as invested in something as you are. Sometimes we're measuring compatibility. This is the last thing I'll say. Sometimes we're measuring compatibility by how much somebody is into something as we are into it, as if it's some level of sameness, right? Like, man, do they love this music, this kind of music as much as I do? Do they think the way I do? We got to stop looking for ourselves through other people. You are one of one. There are some things you think about that isn't exactly how somebody you're connected with needs to do in order for you to find some kind of value in the relationship and build with them. That's what makes both of you unique. Is you guys have different interests, different desires. That's actually what brings about compatibility, not differentiation. The fact that you guys have some differences between each other that fit, okay? High achievers, we love to do things all day, every day. We're on to the next challenge, on to the next thing, building, constantly doing, moving. Okay. All that's great. You know what would make sense for you from a compatible sense is somebody who thinks things from a day-to-day aspect. They're moving with the flow and going with the journey. Because guess what that's going to teach you to do? Slow down. Something high achievers don't like doing. Because time is not only valuable, but time is also something that you're constantly measuring as a waste when things aren't getting to a particular point in a timetable you envision it. So guess what somebody who isn't necessarily so hyper focused on those things will do for you that will benefit you, not harm you, slow you down so you can be in the present. It's an even balance. This is why I talk a lot about strengths. Okay. One of the greatest tools that you can ever use is learning your strengths, because you'll find somebody who has some different strengths than you. And that doesn't mean that they're not compatible with you. It actually could mean they're compatible with you, depending on the strength. This is why, ladies, when you run into men and they don't necessarily communicate as fast as you do, that doesn't always mean that it's a red flag. But if you do find somebody, a man who's in tune with the emotional aspect of himself, who's able to communicate well and listen, you get the best of both worlds with the masculinity in him, okay? And his ability to slow down, take you into consideration, your voice, your words, your reasoning, all the things, and communicate healthily. You get the best of both worlds. But we have to be willing to see some things that are maybe different in other people, not as a knock against them, but something that's like, oh, okay, that's unique, that's different, and something that maybe I have enough interest in to want to continue to know, investigate, and learn. But I'm learning that y'all don't really want marriage material like y'all say y'all do. That's really for the people that are high achievers and want marriage material. Because a lot of y'all don't. A lot of y'all don't want marriage material. Y'all just want somebody to just throw time with. What's up, Ender? Good to see you. Y'all just want people to throw time away with. Y'all don't want somebody to actually do life with. Or you still caught up on trying to make a build a man. You really don't want something that actually has long-term value to it. So that's more so exclusive. Along with everything else that honestly aligns with that conversation, that's more so exclusive. Because a lot of y'all don't really want that. Okay. It's not about sameness. Okay. Whether you got the same music taste, background, communication style, emotional expression, personalities, that doesn't necessarily equate to that being aligned. You don't necessarily need somebody identical. They can have a lot of differences between the two. And that's actually what builds the beauty. You're a city girl, he's a country guy. You're a homebody, he likes to go out. You're introvert, he's extrovert. Those are not signs that's like, that's this not gonna work. If anything, it's gonna challenge you to step out of your shell and out of what you've considered to be your comfortable zone to be able to move forward. Okay. What we're looking for is alignment and value, direction. And is there a sense of level of maturity, willingness to grow? You may not be there, but are you willing to grow? Because we can both learn from each other regardless of where we are. Whether I'm further ahead than you, you're further ahead than me in certain areas. Are you willing to grow? That makes a big difference. Okay. All right. I'm done ranting. I hope this conversation made sense. Be sure to follow. All right. This is actually the longest stream that we've had in a while. My streams are typically like an hour long. All right. So you got to be here on time. Because we go through some things pretty quickly. We opened up with some Q&A, all the good stuff. We didn't do that today. Be sure to subscribe to my YouTube. I got new content going up daily. All right. Unpacking things like this, but also giving some tangible, valuable thoughts and insights over there in longer teaching formats, not so rushed and more present. Be sure to do that. Be sure to go to the top of my page if you're on TikTok and click that Linktree link and get your free relational diagnostic. All right. So you can know where you're at in terms of your relationships so you can move forward healthily. If you are on YouTube, thank you so much for tuning in. Be sure to subscribe. In the description, you're going to be able to see next steps and how we can stay connected and what it looks like to work together to be able to get you to a healthier lane in your security and more importantly, to help you achieve the same success in your relationships as you do in your business, being the high achiever that you are. All right. There's no reason why your relationship should be lacking behind like they do. And yet your business is successful, your work is successful, and every area of your life is just astounding. Your relationship should actually match that, but it isn't. And it's not because you suck at love. It's actually because there isn't enough systemization in place like you do in other areas that brings to life the relationships you ultimately want. Okay. We're just hoping and praying and hoping things get fixed randomly when in reality, we got to move with some systemization. We got to know what it is that we're dealing with, what's failing, what's setting us back, so we can adjust from that intentionally. And I promise you that's going to make a biggest difference in your relationships moving forward. If you can't do any of that, be sure to follow for more, subscribe for more. And I cannot wait to see you here again. We'll reconnect and connect, or we'll reconnect tomorrow. I'll go live same time, 1 p.m. Central Time. All right. We went live around 1:40 today, 1:45. So it'll be 1:30. No, 1 p.m. Central Time tomorrow. We'll be back live for another conversation, maybe a Q&A. Follow for more so you can stay up to date with that. And until then, be easy and be breezy, my friends. Peace. Thank you, mods. Thank you, Ash. Appreciate your help so much. Thank you.